Today we're going to talk about some tempera paint, liquid tempera paint techniques. This is the liquid tempera paint. It comes in these trays on the shelf. You'll notice that it has the names of all the colors on the lid, so when you put the lids back on, make sure they match the color. We're going to start with a dry brush technique, and for that, instead of using these soft brushes that we have been using for the watercolor paint, we're going to use these brushes that are a little more coarse. They're a little bit rougher. So for dry brushing, you're going to use a dry brush. You're going to dip it in the paint and have paint on one side of the brush. On the other side, there's not paint. So I'm going to start with the paint side up, and I am just going to brush it like so. And this is how you do the dry brushing technique. So it gives you a little bit of texture. It dries pretty quickly, and it's a little scratchy looking. For underpainting, I'm just going to use the rest of the red and lay down a flat color of red. And so I'm just laying down a flat color, and I'm going to come back to this after it dries a little bit and add paint on top of that. Show you how to use the press technique, and you just get paint on your brush and you can press it on your paper and make a bunch of interesting shapes this way. Let's get a little more paint. You can use the side of the brush to make skinnier shapes. You can also take the brush and press it and pull it to make longer shapes, like so. You can also do what's called edge or cut in. So for example, if you draw your picture first, say I have my picture drawn and I want one color on this side, I'm going to get paint on my brush, and I'm going to just put my brush right up against that line and just pull the brush against the line like so. And then I can go back and take all the extra paint and color in the inside of whatever shape I'm coloring. That way I get a nice clean edge right there. We can also do blending. For blending, since you're going to have more than one color on your brush, you need to make sure that you're using either a little paint palette or you can use a paper plate. But what we're going to do is we're going to scoop the paint out of the container in to the paint palette. And anytime that you scoop paint out and you need to go get another color, you're going to have to wash your brush out with the water, and then you're going to have to dry it off with a paper towel because you don't want your paintbrush soaking wet. I do want a little bit of red on my brush, so I'm going to get some red. And then for the blending, I'm going to go ahead and dip it in the side of the yellow because I don't want to contaminate all of the yellow. And I'm going to start painting. And this will blend the colors and kind of create almost a value scale. I can go in and get some more red to make it darker towards the end. We can also do what's called a double loaded brush, and for that I'm going to go ahead and get a clean brush, and I'm going to put yellow on one side and then red on the other side. And when I paint it, I'm just going to tap my brush because I don't want to lose all of my yellow. It's not like blending where I'm trying to make it all blend together. I still want to see the yellow and the red as separate colors. And you just kind of tap it in there. And then now my underpainting is dry, so I'm going to paint yellow on top of it, but since my brush is dirty again, I'm going to make sure that I clean the brush really well and wipe it on the lip and dry it with the paper towel. It looks pretty clean, so now I can go in and get some yellow and paint right on top of my red. That way I don't have a flat color anymore. It gives my painting more depth than if I was to just take yellow and paint right beside on white paper. You see the yellow's pretty bright right here. Not quite as bright when the red's underneath it. So when you're painting with the liquid paints, make sure the most important thing is to clean your brush out and do not contaminate the colors while you're painting.